Hey, Dawn, let's just get this out of the way. What is Ashlyn's status going forward, and do you think she'll be with you guys when the regular season opens?
I mean, the status is still the same.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's moved yet, and we're not gonna move until her situation settles down a little bit. And that's out of her control and out of our control.
How's she holding up?
She's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
Dawn, last year, I think the buzzword around the team was daycare. Have you been around them long enough
Yeah.
to find a new one this year, or is it the same?
Listen, they have not made it to preschool. So we still very much in the midst of daycare.
Have the 3 new.
And I don't care, because if they can win us the national championship and if they can follow up and do it again, you know, let's go daycare.
How the 3 newcomers kind of melded into that?
Great. They fit in so well. Like they're great character individuals. They have like to see Miriam. The big smile on her face, and we call Maddie Mouse because she's quiet. She's having such a good time. It actually makes me feel good to know that when they choose to come here, they not only feel it on the visit, but when they get here, is very much in line with how we recruited them.
Is it possible?
And Joyce, I'm sorry, Joyce. Joyce, seems like Joyce has been a part of our program for a long time because she's a South Carolinian.
Is it possible to replace a player like Camilla inside, and you just kind of have to make that up with a few different players? How's the process
That's
going there
hard.
at the 5?
It's hard. We've had like go-to post players for the past 10 years, and I don't necessarily think we have that right now. Just we got some younger players that have some potential to be, but they haven't had enough experience in practice or in game to really deem them that. So we don't want to put that on them. I think collectively we got incredible talent. So for right now, there's just going to have to be a collective effort from not just the bigs. Our guards have to bring it. So we got to utilize. It's going to be the strength of an entire roster.
What would you like to see from Myiah this season and grow in her game?
I think Myiah knows that she has to grow. She has to bring something different to it, and she has. From a maturity standpoint, practices are a lot different than what they were when she first started off. Like, she takes them a lot more serious, and that's what you want in a young player. And I hope it transitions to some great things happening out there on the court, just in a more consistent way. Like, we know, she's a generational talent. We know that. There's no doubt about it. There are things that she does that no other female can do. It's all this stuff that's underneath being generational that you got to consistently be good at.
It's early on. And you guys are ramping up, practices and everything. Who's emerging as that leader in this group?
Man, we had that question yesterday. It's hard. Like, I don't think anybody really wants to step into that role. But it's going to come from a lot of different places. Fagan's doing a lot of talking. Breezy's got to, step up into that role a little bit. Powell. So I think it's by committee. So I think they'll take turns in, voicing what needs to be said out there on the court. So you'll hear from a variety of ways. And, upon Ashlyn's return, of course, Ashlyn has a great voice in the locker room.
Dawn Raven played last season with a chip on her shoulder. Do you still see that mentality from her, or has it changed to something different?
Raven talks like that, but she's very consistent in how she approaches practice. Very consistent. Like, what you see is what you get. Like, what you see her doing in games is what you see her do in practice. So she's very consistent with that. Very, very competitive. We got a very competitive group. Like, they're outwardly competitive, whereas teams of the past were like inwardly. They wouldn't say certain stuff. This group of players they're unafraid. So I cringe sometimes with some of the stuff that they say, but they believe in each other and they believe in themselves.
Fagan had a cool opportunity with the USA 3x3 team. How can that help her?
Confidence. I think Fagan hasn't played a whole lot of like long, consistent minutes for us, so I think it is happening at the right time with her having so much success with USA Basketball being the MVP. I think she was a leading scorer as well, so it can only help her. Like she's practicing great. Like she looks like the senior that we need her to be. She's playing that way, and she's utilizing her voice in a way that says, she just doesn't want to just win. She wants to make it to the next level.
Dawn, you've got a lot of players back who have been there, done that. They know what it's like to win it all, even a couple of times. Does that help at practice? Or the older players kind of taking control and saying, you know what, we know what we have to do, and here's how we do it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. We don't know how good we are because our highlighters are so good. Like they're really they're much quicker than us. They run us out the gym at times. So we're really having a hard time figuring out how good we are. Much like we were last year. So until we play Memphis, I don't know. Like I don't feel good right now. I don't feel good by the stats that we collect and all the analytics that we're collecting. And I don't know if we need to, we just said this in our meeting. Do we need to change things according to what's happening out there against the highlighters? Do we just let it go? I mean, it's we know what's good basketball. So we do have to clean up some things, but it's hard to gauge.
Kind of on top of that, going from high school basketball to D1, any D1 team is hard as is, but coming in as a defending national champion, how are you easing this stress, I guess, that the freshmen may be feeling, and or what's your philosophy there with that transition?
I mean, we really don't take in consideration that they're freshmen. Like, we don't. It's a way that we go about doing things, and if you separate them from the rest of the pack, then they'll feel a little different. We're going to treat them like another player, like they won a national championship, and I think it helps. They keep up with the pace of what we're doing. They got great teammates that are encouraging them, that's helping them along the way, and they fit right in. Like they've had some great practices, and they have some practices where they're challenged a little bit, so they're getting the gist of it all.
Does this group feel that it's had to, is one thing you're motivated to repeat, but how much are they also motivated to go undefeated again?
I don't know. I don't really ask that question. We just try to get better every day. I'm sure if y'all talk to them, they'll let you know. They'll let you know exactly how they're feeling, and it's probably very much the same in what you mentioned. They want to win another one. They want to go undefeated. When you get a taste of it, you really want to follow up. And how realistic it was last year, I don't know. How realistic it is this year, still in the same spot, I don't know.
Talked about not feeling great about some things. Is there one thing or maybe a couple you need to see between now and the season opener that would make you feel better about this team?
I mean, I want us to play better. I want us to make better decisions. I want us to probably get mad that they're getting beat. Like, get mad at the highlighters and take that up to another level. So, I mean, we're not gonna change the way the highlighters are playing, but it will help us. So we have to adjust to them. We have to figure out how we can consistently beat them. Like, we beat them every so often, but not enough to make us feel real good about what we're doing, and that's not a bad thing.
Dawn, you had a very busy off-season. A lot of travel, the Olympics, red carpet events, the White House, and it seemed like I'd be watching TV, you'd be on every channel with commercials and everything. Was that exhausting, and maybe were you looking forward to get back to practice and like maybe catch your breath because it's just a regular grind?
I mean, it seemed exhausting, but it wasn't. Like, when you're enjoying something, you know, it's not tiring. I just kind of decompressed. That was my way of decompressing. And I experienced a lot in this off season. Enjoyed it. I compartmentalized and enjoyed myself. And then, now we're back. We're back into the swing of things. And this really is my happy place, is to be in practice and getting our team to where it needs to be, to where we can continue to make our fans happy and proud.
Dawn, you said they'll let you know, the players. I'm curious, is the identity of this team, are they going to play with the swagger that they know they're good? And if so, how do you balance that?
Did they play with a swagger like they were good last year? Did they? I don't think they're going to sway too far from them. Like it's a new way. Like it's a new way for me as a coach, because I'm probably more traditional. Hey, let's prep, and they're like, okay, we're prepping, but we're having fun along with it. So yes, they're gonna be the same. Like they're opening me up to a new way of just coaching, like accepting certain things. Like it's their identity. That's who they are. I'm not gonna change who they are. I mean, you ain't gonna win that. Like I know when to cut my losses. I'm not gonna win that part of it. So I'm just gonna enjoy it with them. Like I will enjoy it probably a lot better with them this year, because I know them a little bit more. I know they are, despite them having fun and talking a whole lot and TikToking, I know they're grasping the information that they need in order for us to compete at a high level every game.
Going back to the White House, that was such a cool experience for your team. What do you hope that your players got out of that experience as a group?
I mean, just I think the fruits of their labor. Just appreciating it, understanding it. This is what happens when you do something a little bit different than everybody else in basketball. They enjoyed it though. They enjoyed it. The president was great. I mean, he had great questions for them, asked them where they were from, and for them to actually shake hands with a sitting president. I mean, I don't get starstruck too much. Presidents, stars. I'm starstruck by all presidents. So it was cool to not only meet him again, but in an intimate way. Because I actually went to the Olympics with his wife, Dr. Biden, and he actually spoke about that as well. And privately, he spoke about that, and so cool. I'm so like the recall, the information that they have, and then they make you feel like you're the only person in the world that matters in that moment. I know I did it, but he made me feel that way. So that was cool.
Still kind of strange to have an exhibition game this early, October 15th. I think you guys owed Memphis the game, so how did that break down with them deciding to make it an exhibition this early?
One, we really didn't have any room to return, to Memphis, and this coaching staff was so kind enough to agree. It's an opportunity it's a NIL game for us. It's an opportunity for us to just create a revenue source in that space, but also to represent the sponsor, which is St. Jude. I mean, I am I still receive. I just got a St. Jude envelope in the mail, because I've given to St. Jude's, but to do it in this way, to do the hospital visits, to meet the people behind that take care of families and children in need is quite remarkable, and one that I want our players to experience. So it can only fit in that space. But we've been practicing since we got back in last month.
Is everyone healthy to start the year?
Everyone's healthy, yes. Mm-hmm.
Last year,
Good question.
Last year, you guys kind of dubbed it the revenge tour. This is the
Not me.
Not
You gotta talk to the tourists. That's them. Raven in particular.
Yeah. Does the preseason mindset change at all when you're somewhat of the underdog versus the one that's being chased?
Yeah, I mean, it does. It does. Well, not for us in our preparation. Maybe for the players and their psyches, I don't really ask that questions. I don't want to know. I just want to get down to the meat and potatoes of what we do.
Yeah.
All the other peripheral stuff, I could care less. I don't care if we're number 1. I don't care if we're number 10. It means nothing. Like today, it means nothing. What I do care about is if we're number 1 at the end of the season.
Looking behind you, A'ja Wilson's name is there, a 3-time WNBA MVP already. Can you put into words what she's doing right now in the league?
Yeah, she's the best player in the world. I mean, quite simply. And it's it's great to see her actually impose her will on everything that is her opposition. It's not often that you see great players get better. Like, it's not often. Only the 1%ers really get better in their greatness. I mean, probably a lot to do with it was, her not winning MVP last year. So that's a one way to move it, and to do it in a unanimous fashion is such an A'ja Wilson type of thing to do. So happy for her. I want the Final Four of the WNBA to have as many Gamecocks as possible.
Any last things for Coach before we let go? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.